Okay, Boker Tov. Oh, good evening. I'm saying Boker Tov. This is where my mind is. Good evening, everyone. We're continuing with Gemara Berachot. We have the discussion that we've been having up until now is the times of Shema. When a person can say Shema Yisrael in the evening, when a person can say Shema Yisrael in the morning, in the day. And we spoke about the requirements of saying Shema Yisrael. It's all from two words. What are the two words that tell us the timing of when we have to say Shema Yisrael? B'shoch becha means the time that you're lying down. Uvkumecha means the time that you are getting up. And we spoke about at length how there's a machloket in our Mishnah, but when you say b'shoch becha, at least for the night time of Shema, when it says b'shoch becha, that you say Shema, the time that you're lying down, does that mean the time that people are going to sleep, that they are starting to lie down? Or does it mean all the while that people are lying down? And then the difference would be if you could say Shema only at the time when people are going to sleep, then you would have the requirement to say Shema would be at the beginning of the night. Let's call it the first third of the night. But if you feel that you could say Shema the entire time that someone is asleep, then you could really say Shema of Arvit all night long, because that's the time that people sleep. Okay? So that's what we were speaking about last time. Shalom Alachem, come on in. That's what we were speaking on last time, except last time we were speaking about this twilight zone. Remember? What do we call I guess we're talking about in the morning. The moment that day starts is sunrise. The moment that the ball of the sun breaks the horizon, that you could actually see the sun. In English, it's called sunrise, and in Hebrew, it's called Hanetzach. That's the time that the sun rises. Hanetzach. But even before then, you start seeing light. It starts seeing the rays of the sun, where it's not the sun itself, but before the moment of Hanetzach, you could see the rays. The moment where you start seeing some light is called dawn. In English and in Hebrew, two ways of saying it is Alot HaShachar or Amud HaShachar. Same thing. So the time period between Alot HaShachar, which is dawn, and sunrise, let's call it, for argument's sake, let's call it 72 minutes. For that 72-minute time period, the question is, can you say Shema of the night? Can you say Shema of the day? So we did some of this last week. We're going to do it again. Be'ezrat Hashem. Just as we get started, let me just do one thing before I start. Let's just take a quick look. I think I showed you guys this before. myzmanim.com. You go to myzmanim.com. Let's search and let's do the times for tomorrow. Okay, let's use on tomorrow's date is going to be January 24th. We're going to use real times of tomorrow. So you see here, dawn is at 5:47. Sunrise is at 7:12. That's more than 72 minutes. That's more than 72 minutes, but let's just go with what's here. Okay, let's just stipulate. We're going to go with what the times that are printed. 7:12 is sunrise, but you already have dawn at 5:47. Okay, so if someone were to say Shema at 5:30 a.m., what does that count for? That counts for nighttime. If someone says Shema at 7:15 a.m., what does that count for? Daytime. Now, what happens if someone says Shema at 6 a.m.? So it's before sunrise, but after dawn. This is what we're calling the Twilight Zone. Okay, it's the name of our movie. We're going to print out a movie one day. The Twilight Zone, the time between dawn and sunrise. If you say Shema, does it count for the night or the day? The topic of discussion for tonight. And then another question I have, does it make a difference if you have a flight to catch? Do the laws change if you have a flight to catch in the morning? What? Hopefully. Does the laws change if you're doing a race, a marathon? What do they call it when you're on a bike? And you have to be in the city at, let's say, 6 a.m. Machloket. Very good. Machloket. You got the right answer, Shelby. Okay, very good. Tell you what. So let's go. Here, Gabrielle, did you ever do a marathon or a race where you have to be somewhere early in the morning? Like what time do you have to leave? 4 or 5 a.m. Okay, so here's a situation where he has to leave 4 or 5 a.m. and then he's not going to get time to do shacharit. So let's say he has the opportunity in a situation like this to say it at, I wasn't even sharing the screen. Oh, yeah. Let's say at 6 a.m. he could say Shema. So it's before sunrise. So we're going to talk about this Twilight Zone. Ready? Let's go. Gemara Masechet Berachot, Davchet Amud Bet. We're going to go back a few lines. It's the 8B-4. 8B-4 right on the top. Tanya. Okay, ready? 8B-4. If you're looking at the R scroll, let's go. Tanya, Rabbi Shimon ben Yochai Omer. Pa'amim she'adam koreh kriyat Shema shtei pa'amim balayla. Sometimes a person will say Shema twice at nighttime. Achat kodem she'alum amud hashachar, once before dawn. Ve'achat le'achar she'alum amud hashachar, once after dawn. Ve'yotzeh bahen yidei chovato, and he will fulfill his obligation. Achat shel yom, one of the day. Ve'achat shel layla, one of the night. A person will say Shema twice at nighttime, once before dawn, once after dawn, and he'll fulfill his obligation of Shema of night and Shema of day. So the first thing the Gemara says, you just said I'm going to say Shema twice at nighttime, and then you told me I could fulfill my obligation of Shema of the day. That's an internally inconsistent statement. Hagufa kasha. This Tosefta is self-contradictory. Amar, you opened up the statement by saying Pa'amim shadam koreh kriyat Shema shtei pa'amim balayla. A person could say Shema twice in the evening. Alma la'achar she'aleh mod hashachar, which implies that after dawn is still the night. Leil Yahu, it is the night. V'hadar taneh, but then you further say yotzeh behen yidei chovato achat shel yom ve'achat shel layla. You'll be able to fulfill your obligation of Shema once of the day and once of the night. Alma yemamahu. So that implies that the twilight zone between dawn and sunrise is day. Lo. So the Gemara says it's not an issue. Leolam lelahu. The time between dawn and sunrise is night. Okay, if it's night, what's the problem? If it's night, how do I fulfill the obligation of Shema of the day? If you're telling me it's nighttime, okay? The fact that we call it a day, that you fulfill your day obligation, because you have some people who are getting up at that time. And now we need to redefine that Shema is not for night and for day, but Shema is for when you're lying down and for when you get up. So if people start getting up around the time of dawn, then you can already fulfill your daytime Shema, because it's not really daytime Shema, it's awake time Shema, which already starts at dawn. Okay? Now, this statement was said by who? Let me just scroll up because it's very important to get our characters correct. Who said the statement? Tanya? Rabbi Shimon ben Yochai. This is a statement of Rabbi Shimon ben Yochai. So can someone recap for me, what was the statement of Rabbi Shimon ben Yochai in this first Braita that we had? You could say Shema twice at night, fulfill your obligation once of the night, once of the day, but when are the times that you're saying it?
Before Amud Shachar, after Shachar, before things.
Very good. Before dawn and after dawn, but before sunrise. Very good. Okay. And I have a chart for you, but in a second. Amar Ravacha bar Hanina, Amar Rabbi Yehoshua ben Levi. So Rabbi Yehoshua ben Levi, the character is going to be important. Rabbi Yehoshua ben Levi says, Halacha ke Rabbi Shimon bar Yochai ben Yochai. The law is like Rabbi Shimon ben Yochai. Okay, so I spent a lot of time, not a lot of time, but I had some fun with this. Okay, so first, I want you to remember this infograph or whatever it's called, this graphic. This moment right here, you could see where it says dawn. Before that, it's all black because that's nighttime. And everything after this yellow ball breaks the horizon, this whole part on top, the top half of this line is daytime. The question is this twilight, where you can see the light of the sun, but you cannot see the sun itself. That's the moment we're talking about. Okay, now look at, I'd like you to look at this chart. Okay, and I got some nice conditional formatting going on here. Braita number 1. Okay, everyone with me. There's 3 time periods. There's before dawn, or before Amud HaShachar. There's between dawn and sunrise. And then there's after sunrise, which is Hanetzachama. You see these 3 time periods? You're good so far? So this is before dawn. What do you consider this? Nighttime. After sunrise, daytime. Then we have this, and let's just do this. Let's call this Twilight zone. Gotta trademark that. Okay, that's the Twilight zone. So that time period is what we're going to discuss. So according to our first Braita, the Shema of night, which time periods can you say it? Can you do it here?
Yes. According to him, yeah. Probably said you do the day after.
Correct. So this is saying Shema at night, and you fulfill your obligation of the day. So it's a bit tricky. So maybe I should reword this. Let's say saying Shema twice at night. Okay. So you're gonna say Shema twice at night, and which two? Your green check. You see this? Red, green. Cool, no? I'll show you conditional formatting later. So that's these are the two times that this would be for the night and this would be for the day. Okay? We're not talking about Shema of saying Shema after sunrise. Obviously, you could say Shema of sunrise at this time. The main thing that as I think about this, maybe there's other ways we could do this chart. Maybe we'll do it in a different way for next time. But this is basically saying this is the nighttime Shema and this is the daytime Shema. Okay.
I'm a little confused. Why does he call it? He also says after sunrise, uses it as night. No?
Not after sunrise, after dawn.
After dawn.
Yeah. So the statement goes like this: a person will say Shema twice at night, which is telling us how both of these are night, and he'll fulfill once of the night, once of the day. Right? And he'll fulfill once before Amud HaShachar, once after Amud HaShachar, and he'll fulfill the Shema of the night and fulfill the Shema of the day. So the Gemara says, you're telling me it's twice at night, but then you say that he'll fulfill his obligation of the day. And the answer is correct, because the obligation of the day of Shema, it doesn't have to do with when is night and when is day. It has to do with when people wake up. And during this twilight time, people are waking up. So you're fulfilling your Shema of the daytime, which is the wake up time, during the night. So he defines all of this as night. So now let's do it like this. This is night. How do I and this is day.
What I'm always doing is defining the twilight zone as night.
He's defining the twilight zone as night. That is correct.
You say the day Shema during this.
But you say the day Shema during the nighttime.
You have to say when is that?
So, okay, so you're asking good questions. There's a very, very long Tosfot here that starts asking really how this applies to anything. Like the Brit Milah has to be during the daytime. If someone does a Brit Milah at nighttime, it's no good. Brit Milah has to be during the daytime. So he says, what if you do Brit Milah during this time? Then Megillah, there's a Megillah of Purim, you have to read at night, one on a day, right? So what if I read it during this time? Like, which one does it count for? Like, this question of night and day applies to so many things. And so essentially what we're saying here is this column D is nighttime for everything, which means you would say the nighttime Kiryat Megillah during this time. It's night. And you would not be able to do Brit Milah. If you did Brit Milah this time, it'd be no good. This is nighttime. It's just that you're allowed to do Shema during the Shema of Ukumecha, of getting up during that time. So he's defining this at night and telling you that you can do Shema of the morning, you could do it during that time. Not because he's defining it as morning, but because the marker of when you start saying Shema in the morning, it has to do with really Ukumecha, when people get up. And people could get up at nighttime. So that's unique. Everything else, the mitzvah is by night or by day. Shema doesn't have to do with by night and by day. It has to do with when people are going to sleep and when people get up. And the idea is if people are getting up during this twilight zone, then it's still then you could fulfill that obligation even though he considers it night. Okay? This is very complicated. But what we're learning now is this twilight zone, you could say Shema of the day during that time. Okay? Yeah.
So if the times, there's no real times that you're supposed to Shema, it's just when you're going to lay in the night and waking up, what do the times matter at all?
Okay, so you're asking a good question. So what the Gemara will explain is that it's not when you specifically, because you know it's impossible for you to say Shema when you're going to sleep, because when you're asleep, you can't say Shema. All right, you see the circularity of it. If I have to say Shema when I go to sleep, then it's impossible for me to do the mitzvah of Shema. Because when I say, well, I'm not asleep. Okay, so it could be when you're lying down, but not necessarily. We're going to learn in the Mishnah that you could say it standing up. It doesn't have to do with physical. And so what we say is, B'sha'ah shebnei adam shochvim, u'b'sha'ah shebnei adam omdim. It's a time that in general is defined as a time that people in general go to sleep. People in general wake up. And so it's not about this individual person, okay?
Say king earlier.
Kings wake up later, so that gives you more time to say Shema in the morning. That's exactly an example. So there's a machloket of the Shema of the morning. What time should you say? Well, everyone gets up right around sunrise. So your last time to say it is by sunrise. And we say, hold on a second. There's a whole group of wealthy people that wake up, not at sunrise, but they wake up at 7 a.m., 8 a.m., 3 hours a day, 9 a.m. So you could say Shema until that time because there's a group of people who are still waking up. So it's still considered wake up time, even if you're not waking up at that time. Okay, so we're starting to get into how the times of Shema are not necessarily by night or by day, but it has to do with these markers of when we consider people going to sleep and when we consider people waking up. Let's keep going because we're going to do something that's very trippy right now. Okay, we're going to trip you up. I lost my Gemara. Here it is. Okay, so we said the law is like Rabbi Shimon bar Yochai. Ika dematni leha Ravacha bar Chanina aha. This statement that we just read of Amar Rav Acha bar Chanina, Amar Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi, Rav Acha in the name of Rabbi Yeshua said that we follow Rabbi Shimon bar Yochai. Some say actually this statement was talking about another statement to Rabbi Shimon bar Yochai. Rabbi Shimon bar Yochai said another statement somewhere else. And Rav Acha said, oh, the law is like Rabbi Shimon in that case, not this one. So now it's a little bit tricky because it's like, we know the law is like Rabbi Shimon, but we don't know which statement to Rabbi Shimon the law is like. So let's see, what's another possibility? The Tanya, we learned in a Braita. Braita number 2. Rabbi Shimon ben Yochai Omer, Mishum Rabbi Akiva. This time he says it in the name of Rabbi Akiva. Pe'amim she'adam koreh kriyat shema. Sometimes a person can read kriyat shema shtei pe'amim bayom, twice in the day. Okay, the first one we said we'll read it twice at night, once before dawn, once after dawn. Now we're saying you're going to say Shema twice in day. Achat kodem hanetzach hama, ve'achat le'achar hanetzach hama. Once before sunrise and once after sunrise. Ve'yotzeh b'hen yedei chovato, and a person will fulfill his obligation. Achat shel yom ve'achat shel laila. And he'll fulfill his obligation of the nighttime Shema before sunrise. Okay, so now, once again, it says you're going to say Shema twice a day. So now we just flipped everything. The first one said you read it twice at night, and during the twilight zone counts toward the day. Now we're going to say you're going to read it twice in the day, and your twilight zone is going to count in your night. So the Gemara is going to say that twilight zone. Amart pa'amim shadam koreh kriyat shema shtei pa'amim bayom. You said a person will read Shema twice in the day. Alma kodem hanetzach hama yamamahu, which implies that before sunrise it's considered daytime. But then you say you fulfill your obligation of the night. Then it implies that it's night. Look, so now we're turning to Daf Tet Amud Aleph 9A. Leolam yemamahu. The twilight zone is day. You had the karu leilea, but why is it that you're fulfilling your obligation of Shema of nighttime? Because people are still sleeping at that time. So it's still considered b'shoch becha, even though it's daytime. Now, in this statement, Amar Rabbi Avacha bar Chanina, Amar Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi, and now Rabbi Avacha bar Chanina says the name of Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi, Halakha Rabbi Shimon, Shamar Mishum Rabbi Shimon bar Yochai. The law is like Shamar Mishum Rabbi Akiva. The halakha is like Rabbi Shimon, who says in the name of Rabbi Akiva. So now what happens? Let's go back to my chart. It's a complete machloket. So now what we're going to say is a person will say Shema, saying Shema. Let's do this. Saying Shema twice a day. Which ones? This one is for the daytime, and this one is for the nighttime. So really, okay, this is why maybe I should do this. We're going to call this day. Merge that and call this night. So now what we have is, this is daytime, but you're going to do the nighttime Shema here. And this is nighttime, and you're going to do the daytime Shema here. The two Braitot, Braita number 1 is saying that you could do your daytime Shema here in the twilight zone. And the Braita number 2 is saying you could do your nighttime Shema here. And we have Rav Acha saying in the name of Rabbi Yeshua that the law is like Rabbi Shimon. And Rabbi Shimon was the author of both of these statements. Once he said it by himself, once he said in the name of Rabbi Akiva, but we don't know which one is the law. Because we know that the law is like Rabbi Shimon. Rabbi Shimon says a contradictory things. The twilight zone over here. Can I also type? No. Let's just. I'm just going to add. This Shema is which time? This is the daytime Shema. Right? And this one is the nighttime Shema. Because he says you could read it twice in the day, once in the night, once in the day. So now we know that the law is like Rabbi Shimon, but we don't know which one it's like. I know that my nighttime for sure I could do before dawn, and I know my daytime for sure I could do after nets. But this twilight zone, the first one says it's the time of daytime Shema, and the second Baita says it's the time of nighttime Shema. So which one is it?
It could be. It could be. It could be.
Both, you could say Shema both times in Twilight and count for both.
No, maybe it's saying if you say your nighttime Shema before dawn, then you can say your daytime one, but if you forget to do it before dawn, you can say your nighttime one, but then you have to say your daytime one after something. So if it's both. Okay, it's saying you have a period of time to make up if you forget.
Okay, so I'm hearing two different things. Shelby first said how it's machloket. There's two different opinions. So this one is saying you could say daytime Shema. According to this first Braita, Shelby, according to this first Braita, do you think you could say the nighttime Shema during this time? Because he's saying you could say the daytime Shema during this time. It wouldn't make sense. So you're saying this is exclusive. Exclusively, the first Braita is saying you could say daytime Shema, but not the nighttime Shema during that time. And the second one, you would say the flip. During the twilight zone, you could say the nighttime Shema, but you can't say the daytime Shema. Okay? That's how Tosfot learns this. But there are some that argue with him and say, no, it all depends on your current situation, which is what Gabriel, what Josh, and what Andrew said. Because Tosfot says, I have a question. If this were true, that this is really nighttime, but like Tosfot asks another question. It says, if this were true that this is nighttime, then why don't you just tell me something like you could read Shema twice during this time, once of the night, once of the day? So it must mean that it's exclusive. Because if you would be allowed to do both at the same time, Tosfot says, look, you clearly can't do both at the same time. Because what is this Braita saying? You could say Shema twice in the night, once before, once after. The one before is for night, the one after is for day. Okay, if you're going to tell me that you could actually do both during this twilight zone, so the Braita, the first Braita would have said, you could say Shema twice during the twilight zone and you fulfill both obligations. It doesn't say that. And so since it doesn't say that, that means that this Braita that says you could say Shema twice at night, once before, once after, it's exclusive. This time is for daytime Shema, and it's not for nighttime Shema. The same too with the second Braita. But then you have you're bothered by the fact that Rabbi Shimon is the one that's making the statement both times. And you also have the statement that says halacha is like Rabbi Shimon. And now, Andrew, I have a question for you. Hold on. You said that it depends on your situation, right? So if you said Arvitz Shema already before dawn, then you could say the daytime Shema during this time.
Yeah.
But if you didn't say it by dawn, then your twilight zone is considered for your Arvit.
Yeah.
Okay, so like if you were up late, you were doing something.
You work the graveyard shift.
Yeah,
You
so
were-
I thought you were saying it like that. It's like, what does it make sense? Okay, you didn't say it, Shema during RV, you went to sleep, you wake up, and it's this twilight zone, so you're gonna count it for night, even though you're waking up. That doesn't make sense.
Okay, so
It makes sense if you're out late, you're doing a graveyard shift, you had a night shift.
I think it's a leniency to say that
Yeah,
you missed it
you were up
during
all
army
night.
for some reason, so we're giving you the ability to fulfill it during that small time period.
If that's when you're going to sleep.
okay, I have the question though is, can you do both during the same
No.
time? Why? Because if tonight I could do it for night and then tomorrow I could do it for day, why can't I do both night and day in the same time?
They're like counterintuitive time period.
Okay, you gotta pick a side. Okay, I think, am I losing some of you guys? I'm losing you?
No.
No, okay, okay, fine. So, okay, yeah, so this is a very good discussion. Okay, so there's a machloket, whether there's a machloket. You get it? Does everyone know what machloket means? Is an argument. You have two statements. You have Braita number one that says, let's recap it like this. Okay, Braita number one, twilight zone, and now I hope you're with me. You understand what I mean by twilight zone, with a TM on it. Twilight zone. How do I zoom this? Okay, no zoom. Sorry, guys. This Twilight Zone. Oh, look at that. You learned something new. Okay, Braita number one, Twilight Zone belongs to what, according to Braita number one? It's a nighttime, but which Shema can you say? The daytime Shema. And Braita number two, it's day, but you're doing the nighttime Shema. Night, Shema. Nighttime Shema. Okay? So this is what it looks like. Now, do these two argue? You could say, like I think it's the first thing Shelby you were saying, is it correct? The first Braita is saying that Twilight Zone belongs to daytime Shema. The second Braita says, no, it belongs to nighttime Shema. They are arguing. Or you could say, no, they're in agreement. It just depends on your situation. Some nights, if you need to use it as a nighttime Shema, because you were working the graveyard shift, and now all of a sudden it's dawn, don't worry, you could still say Arvit, you could still do your daytime Shema. And if you're going to be running a marathon or doing a triathlon, what do you do, Gabriel? You do a triathlon? You do a half marathon. Okay. I usually, I'm just getting my car to go up and down Middle Neck Road. That's the extent of my movement. But, maybe the gas station. So let's say you're doing that, and it's like you need to use that Twilight Zone because you need to get out earlier. So then at that time you could do it as a daytime Shema, right? So you could either say that these two things are arguing, or if they agree. It's just like depends on the night. And then the question is, well, if they agree, why would you teach it two different ways? Why don't you just say, hey, this time could be used either way? The answer is because you need the night, that time needs to be somewhat consistent. You need a pick. Like, do you want this to be nighttime or do you want this to be daytime? Okay, with that, I'm going to show you what Shulchan Aruch says, and I want you to tell me what the halacha is based on what Shulchan Aruch says. Were there any questions before we go into Shulchan Aruch? Yes.
I don't know if there's like lost in translation of the Hebrew, but he refers to saying in the night as once before dawn, the light of dawn, and once after dawn. It refers to the part where he says the day, once before sunrise and once after sunrise.
Correct.
There's some buffer period. He's not referring to the dawn of light.
Correct. There is a buffer period. That buffer period is what we call the Twilight Zone. Here, let me show you.
But
I understand what he's saying. He's saying like,
Am I missing something?
it's not referring to the same point in time when you compare it.
Correct. Look at this over here. We're gonna use some graphics here. We're gonna do a line on the right, and we're going to color it. What's your favorite color? Blue. I'm using blue. We're going with orange. Sorry. And we're gonna make it thicker. Okay? Do you see that orange line there? Your favorite color? Okay, so that orange line is the point in time that we're talking about. Twice at night, once before dawn, once after dawn, because this point in time is dawn. Whereas the second Braita is talking about this point in time. 1 second, your favorite color.
But doesn't explicitly say the start point compared to the first one. So maybe there's
I think it doesn't? Hold on.
I'm saying there's a possibility or something where it can be both. Maybe it's time before dawn of light or something.
Say it again. Maybe I'm
He
missing it.
explicitly says in the first point the dawn of light, but in regards to day, it just says before sunrise.
I think that would imply dawn law before sunrise.
No, there's different cut-off times for twilight and night and twilight and day.
Okay, hold on.
That's why they use different.
Yeah, it's talking about Twilight in those times.
Yeah, when it says dawn of light, it's saying from night to twilight is dawn, but then for the day, it's saying from sunrise.
Oh, you're saying before dawn. Okay, got it.
He says dawn of light for night, and then just for the daytime, it says before sunrise. Doesn't
Yeah.
give it and say.
No, okay, so you're saying it's before sunrise, but that could be at 10 p.m. It's before sunrise. So I think, okay, it's a good question. I understand. You're saying it doesn't explicitly state the twilight zone in either case. The first one, it says before dawn and after dawn. It's not clear because 10 a.m. is also after dawn, right?
It says dawn of light. Yeah, it says that, yeah, it's
The dawn of light, but what, like, is noon after dawn of light? It is, right? So, like, I think that's the point. When he says before and after, like, imagine he's putting in the words of moments before, or a few moments before dawn, and a few moments after dawn. Similarly with sunrise. a few moments before sunrise and a few moments after sunrise. It doesn't have to be a few like seconds, but it could be 10 minutes before. So like that's the idea. It's like when you say you could say it twice in the day, once before, once after sunrise. The idea is like you're not doing it 2 hours before, you're doing it 10 minutes before, something like that. And that is considered Shema of the nighttime. So I guess really I didn't need to put these orange lines, but it's like these orange lines, it's saying moments before this, moments after this, moments before this, moments after this. It's assuming the assumption of the flow of the Gemara is like you're not talking about over an hour later, because this period, it's at 72 minutes. If you look at the calendar that we have for tomorrow, it's even more than that. But let's call it a 72 minutes period. I wouldn't say after dawn if I meant an hour and a half after dawn. It means a few minutes after dawn. And when I says before sunrise, it doesn't mean an hour and a half before sunrise. It means a few minutes before sunrise. Is that clear? Okay, very good. Now, what I want to do is I want to look at Shulchan Aruch. We've spoken about Shulchan Aruch a few times. Shulchan Aruch is the final law. So we're going to read that and we're going to reverse engineer, and you're going to tell me which one the law is like. Okay? You want to start with, we really need to look up two places in Shulchan Aruch. We have to look up the laws of Shacharit, and we have to look up the laws of Arvit. Let's start with Arvit. You said it, we'll do Arvit first. Here we go. This is in Siman Reish Lamed Hey. Just follow along. I'll read it and I'll translate. Hakoreh kriyat Shema shel Arvit, one who reads the Shema of the evening time. Achar she'ala amud hashachar, after dawn. So which braita are we in right now? You're reading Arvit after dawn.
Oh, first one. First one. Talking about dawn. Second one talking about sunrise.
Okay. Kodem hanetzach hama, before sunrise. Lo yatsa yedei chovato. A person did not fulfill his obligation. So one more time, I want to make sure I got this right. It's a person is reading his nighttime Shema after dawn, meaning he's reading his nighttime Shema over here, which is what you did in this case. And at this point, you're reading your nighttime Shema. It says, Lo yatsa yedei chovato. He did not fulfill his obligation. I'm not going to flip back and forth. Lo yatsa yedei chovato. He did not fulfill his obligation. Ela imken, unless haya anus. It wasn't his fault. Kegon shikor, like he was drunk. Is it giving you an excuse?
I was at a wedding banquet and I got home late.
Yeah. You had a wedding, you got him late. O chole, or a person got sick. Chayotze bahen, or similar situations. Okay, so now, so we'll stop there. So what this is saying is that if someone wants to do the Arvit prayer during that twilight zone, doesn't fulfill their obligation unless it's not their fault, and then they did fulfill their obligation. So what does that mean? That you're allowed to do Arvit. It's obviously not ideal. You shouldn't even do it after midnight. But if you weren't at fault, you would be allowed to do the Arvit Shema, or the nighttime Shema, after dawn. Which braita is this in line with? The second one, right? Nighttime Shema after dawn. Now, let's see what Shulchan Aruch, the same opinion, says by the laws of Shacharit. Mi shehu anus. Let's say someone is in a unavoidable situation. Kegon shehaya mashkim latzet laderech, like he had to wake up early to go on a journey. He had to go on a marathon, or he had to go out traveling, and his flight is at a certain time. And when where he's going, the place that he's going is a dangerous place. There's wild animals, there's bandits. It's not a safe area. That you can't, in the middle of that place, stop and start praying. You can't go in this place and pray. So it's either you pray before or you're not praying at all. The person where he's going, he won't be able to have any, he won't be able to say the one line of Shema. Or look at this example. There's a B'nai Shayara. B'nai Shayar is, does anyone read this word and tell me what it's like a similar to English word. Balaz means in the foreign language, in French. What's this word? Caravan. Yeah, very good. Caravans. So basically, it's like, let's say you have to catch a bus to go somewhere, and the bus is leaving at a certain time. So Shabnei HaShayara, the caravans, Holchim Mehera, are leaving very early. V'lo yamtinu lo, klal, they're not going to wait for him. So let's say you have a caravan that's leaving like a few minutes after dawn. And like, this is your ride, and if you don't get this, you're not going where you need to go. So like, the only time you could say the daytime Shema is during the twilight zone. What happens? You could say the daytime Shema Mish'ala Amud HaShachar from dawn. The Kivan Sh'ala Amud HaShachar, because once there's dawn, Shapir Karinan Be of Kumecha, it's called of Kumecha. So now, question. This, according to this halakha, what Shema can you say during the twilight zone? Why either one? Okay, so according to this halakha, it's the daytime one. So Shulchan Aruch has one opinion, and he says, if you're drunk and you get home late, don't worry, you could say the nighttime Shema during that time. Or if you have to leave very early, don't worry, you could say the daytime Shema during that time. And so what you see here from Shulchan Aruch and the way the Rambam and the way the Rashba and many other opinions is that these two statements are not arguing with each other. They're just talking about two different nights. Now, if you need it, which is what you said, is that why you're raising your hands? You give him a pat on the back. He's asking for one. Yeah. So, yeah. Yeah, he's saying like, that's what I said. Yeah. Okay. So that's correct. Depending on the night. If you come home late from a wedding and you were drunk, meaning like you really couldn't have said Shema, because the truth is, you go to a wedding, there's always an Arvit Minyan. There is, but let's say it's a situation where you got drunk and it wasn't your fault, and it took you some time to sober up, and now it's all of a sudden it's passed on. Can you do the Arvit time Shema? Yes. And if you have to leave very early in the morning, can you say the Shema of the morning? The answer is yes. And even though these are two different braitot, the halakha is like both of them. They don't argue. Again, Tosfot says they argue, Rashba says they don't. And the way we hold is that they're not arguing. Okay. This flexible period. Excellent. Everyone heard what he said? This time period, it's best to just avoid saying Shema during that time. But it's your wild card. It's your flexible time. If you need it for the night, again, both times he says anus, there's something unavoidable. If there's something unavoidable, you have to leave very early. Like I'm saying, let's say you have to catch a flight, and like you're catching a flight to one of these countries that you can't put tefillin on the flight, or you don't want to say Shema on the flight. And the truth is, you could really say Shema anywhere. You just go like this, and like you could say Shema Yisrael. But if you're given that permission to use this flex time, right? This is like a flexible time period. Okay, there were some hands. Let's see. Yes, go ahead.
That's a silly question. What if you're not the smartest person? You have to go on a flight in the morning. You have a wedding the night before. You get drunk, and then you wake up at dawn, and you have a flight to catch, and you haven't said your nighttime Shema, and you're not gonna be able to say your daytime Shema, and you have 72 minutes.
Right. So now
both?
you're asking the question that we were discussing before of can you use the flex time for both in a certain situation where you won't be able to say Arvit earlier, or you weren't able to say Arvit earlier, and you won't be able to say Shacharit, the daytime Shema later, can you use it for both? The simple answer is no. You have to pick. You have to like submit to Hashem which one you're doing now. Although, like if you're in a situation where you really don't have another choice, like what's your other option? Like not saying, you could just say it. You could say it. I think in a situation like that, what you would say is that a person should say Shema twice with some break in between. And if it works, it works. But the way we're learning for halakha is like you have to pick. You have to pick one. Yes, Shelby.
Does that also mean you have to wear your tefillin for daytime Shema?
Okay, do you have to wear your tefillin for daytime Shema? The answer is simply put, the mitzvah of Shema Yisrael and the mitzvah of tefillin are independent. They're not the same thing. A person can do the mitzvah of Shema on Shabbat. When the person has a mitzvah of Shema on Shabbat, even though we don't have the mitzvah of tefillin. And a person can fulfill the mitzvah of tefillin at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, but you cannot fulfill your daytime Shema mitzvah at that time. That has to be in the morning of Kumecha. So simply put, the two mitzvot are independent. However, there is this concept which I'll mention just tangentially. You know what I'm going to say, Jared? You look like you know what I'm going to say. Mechzi keshikra. You ever heard of this? Or actually, edut sheker. a person is in the Shema Yisrael going to say the following. Ukshartam leot al yadecha. What does that mean? Tie it on your arm. And put it on your head. And you're saying that, and as you're saying that, you're not doing it. So it's edut sheker. It's almost as though I say, Hashem, you tell us to do these mitzvot, and I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. So what are you saying? It's like a person saying, Hashem, you say put on a mezuzah, but I don't want to put on a mezuzah. Hashem, you tell me to wear Shema, to wear tefillin, but I don't want to wear one. Because of that, there's been this connection of that when you're saying the mitzvah of Shema, doing the mitzvah of Shema, you should wear your tefillin, which, because you're stating the mitzvah of tefillin in the Shema Yisrael. But in certain circumstances, if you can't, you can't. This happens all the time. Let's say someone is traveling, and the way that it works out, a person could say Shema and then put on his tefillin on later when he gets to his hotel room at 1 in the afternoon. You could do that. The mitzvah of tefillin is all day long. The mitzvah of Shema Yisrael is during the first few hours, the first 3 hours of the day. Ideally, you do it at the same time, but in situations like this, you could. They are independent mitzvot. Okay, which I think that answers your question. Yeah. Okay, good. Any questions here? Questions?
Yeah, Rabbi.
Okay, sorry, David. I after Jared. Yeah, go ahead, Jared. Okay, are we assuming that the halakha that we brought for Shema is the same for Amidah? Right now, no, we are not assuming that. We are saying that the mitzvah of Shema and mitzvah of Amidah are different. Why? Because the mitzvah of Shema, the definition of when the mitzvah applies is uvkumecha, when you get up. Whereas when we talk about Amidah, you would be following other markers of when. Now, it happens to be that the answer is yes. We could rely on it in certain situations. Shat adchak. The biggest question is, and I don't want to get too into this because I don't know if I'm prepared for this discussion yet. But we get this this discussion happens when we stay up all night. So let's say, for example, the night of Hoshana Rabbah or the night of Shavuot, okay? Like, what time do you start Baruch Shamar? So let me show you the times again on the screen. Let's imagine we were staying up all night tonight, okay? If I'm allowed to already say Shema, and I'm already allowed to do Amidah from after 5:47, so you could do, let's say you could say Baruch Shamar is at 5:47, okay? Do Baruch Shamar at 5:47. But if you tell me, no, it's only the Shema Yisrael, but for the Amidah, you have to wait until sunrise. So your Baruch Shamar is going to be at like 6:45. So it's a difference of an hour, basically a difference of an hour. If you tell me during this twilight zone between 5:47 and 7:12, am I allowed to do the Amidah? It makes a big difference. So like when they stay up all night, you'll have this. There's always, I don't know if you pick up on this. There's always like some people that want to start and some people are saying, no, they want to wait. It's like, why do you want to wait? Well, I want to wait to do the Amidah after sunrise. Yeah, but like people are staying up all night. This is a situation like this. So we've spoken to Rabbi Ben Chaim every time that we stay up all night. He seems to say that, look, if you feel like you're going to lose people are going to go, people are not going to stay for another hour, or people are going to fall asleep, or people won't, then it's okay. You're allowed to rely on it and to do shacharit at the time. But most don't do that. Most wait the extra. But that's the zechut we have of having Rav Ben Chaim, who is a posek who can give us laws like this. Or he's not making it up. It's based on the Mishnah Berurah that says it. But again, I'm not prepared for this. Maybe we'll discuss that when we get to the Amidah prayers later. Okay, David, go ahead, Mr. Dilamani.
Yeah, I think he asked my question, but I'm not sure. I was gonna ask, what about all the mitzvot, the nighttime mitzvot?
Right.
Like, you said when the Takana of Rabban Gamliel Ad She'aleh Amud HaShachar applies to all the nighttime mitzvot. So can we use the buffer zone in the case of ones for the other nighttime mitzvot?
Okay, very, very good question. You're asking a good question. I think actually you said something that we should probably clarify. The story of Rabban Gamliel is you're allowed to say the nighttime Shema until dawn, right? That's what Rabban Gamliel says. But what are we learning now from Rabbi Shimon? You're allowed to say the nighttime Shema even after dawn, before sunrise. So this is a step further than Rabban Gamliel, right?
Yeah.
Because Rabban Gamliel says you could only do it until dawn, but now this we're saying is you could do beyond dawn. In fact, that's the first Braita, says you'll say it twice at night. Sorry, it's the second Braita. You'll do it twice in the day, once before sunrise, once after sunrise, and before sunrise you could fulfill your nighttime obligation. So that's beyond Rabban Gamliel. So that's something that the commentators discuss, and they say Rabban Gamliel, when he allowed you to do it until dawn, he was talking about straight up, you're allowed to plan to say your Shema at 4 a.m. We're not talking about a situation that's unavoidable, like someone got drunk. If someone got drunk, or a situation where someone fell asleep and it wasn't their fault, then they would be, Rabbi Shimon is saying they could do it even into dawn. Rabban Gamliel is saying, no, you have to plan to do it before dawn. And then the rabbis came and said, no, you got to plan to do it before midnight, even earlier. So they're each drawing different markers. Your questions of how do we view the twilight zone for other mitzvot is similar to Jared's question. Jared asked it specifically by tefillah. You're asking it by everything. Can I do the count of Sfirat Omer? Sfirat Omer, if you do at nighttime, okay? Or let's say, for example, tefillin. That's another example. Or Brit Milah, or Megillah. You could ask this question by anything that has to do with night or day. If something only applies at nights or only applies at day. So simple answer is we avoid this time, the twilight zone. We avoid it for all mitzvot, but in many situations it is used as a flexible time period also. Like what Ben said, it becomes a flexible time period. I'm not prepared to go through every halacha here, but what we learn is for Shema Yisrael. For Shema Yisrael, you can use it in times of need when the Sha'at HaDachak. Okay, let's go. Let's go. Okay, I see the time. Let's go. Continuing with the Gemara. Amar Rabbi Zera. Rabbi Zera said, okay, well, we have one caveat, and I'm going to explain this according to Tosfot. Ubilvad shelo yomar hashkiven. But you can't say hashkiven. Okay, I'm going to follow according to Tosfot here. I'm picking Tosfot. Tosfot says, you're all familiar with when we say Shema at nighttime, there's 2 brachot before, 2 brachot after. You know what I'm referring to? What are the 2 brachot before you say Shema Yisrael in the nighttime? It's after Baruch Hu. Baruch Ata Hashem melech haolam, asher bidvaro ma'ariv arabim v'chokhmah, potech shanim b'tuna, mishnei tiv v'chodesh b'zmanim. That's a bracha before. Then there's another bracha before. Yeah, there's Avat Olam. Very good. That's before Shema Yisrael. Then you say the Shema Yisrael. Then you have a bracha afterwards. What's the bracha that you say after Shema? What is it? Hashkivenu. But before that, there's something else. Emet, Emunah. Yeah, exactly. Baruch Hashem Gal Yisrael. You know what? Let me pull up the Sidur. This is where I wish we could do the Kol Avotenu app, but I don't think we have it web based. So. Not this, liturgy. Arvit. Okay, look at this. The Shema. There's a bracha before. Baruch Hashem. This is bracha number 1. Baruch Hashem. That's the end of blessing 1. Then blessing number 2. This is blessing number 2. Baruch Hashem. 2 blessings before. Then you say Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Echad. Ve'ahavta. Ve'haya. Vayomer. Now we have the brachas afterwards. This is blessing number 2 after. Sorry, this is blessing number 1 afterwards. The post blessing of Shema, and it ends up with Baruch Hashem Gal Yisrael. And then you say the next one is Hashkivenu Avinu L'Shalom. What does Hashkivenu mean? The word Hashkivenu. Exactly. Lay us down, our Father, in peace. It's a prayer for help me to go to sleep well tonight. Hashkivenu Avinu L'Shalom. When we go to sleep tonight, we should go to sleep in peace. So now this is what Rabbi Zera is saying as a caveat. Caveat. If you are going to say Shema of the nighttime, which is this, you're going to do it after dawn, which we're considering daytime, as the second Braita says it's daytime. You can say the Shema Yisrael, but you can't say Hashkivenu. You can't during this period that's really, we consider a day that we're giving you the flex. We're allowing you to do the Arvit Shema. You can't afterwards say, Hashem, help us to go to sleep. Well, it's not a time of sleep. So even if you are going to sleep, because let's say you're a pilot, doesn't matter. This blessing doesn't belong during this time period. The Shema belongs. We'll let you do it. But this blessing, what Rabbi Zera says, is it doesn't belong during this time period. So it's a small caveat. If you're going to do it, don't do it during this time. Question?
Sorry, refer to time of blessed.
That's exactly the point. Okay, so your question is, if I understand it correctly, why do we care what this individual guy is doing? It should be the collective time, right? So that's exactly the point. This time period is there are people who are waking up. Now there are some people who are lying down, so we'll let you say the Shema, but in general not. It's a flexibility in a situation where, let's say, someone, for example, was drunk, and all of a sudden they wake up, and they wake up at 5:30 a.m. So it's like, you know what? You could say the nighttime Shema, but it's not a time of saying Hashkivenu. So in general, it's not, even if this guy's going to go to sleep, we're not going to allow it. So you say Shema, you say the second bracha, you say the two brachot before, you say ve'emunah, and you say Baruch Hashem Gad Yisrael. That's it. And then the Arvit prayer, assuming that you could do it during that time, you would just go straight into Arvit. There's something specific about this Hashkivenu prayer that is specific for going to sleep in good peace. And it's like right now, it's not a time of going to sleep, so you don't say Hashkivenu. Okay? Yes.
But if we accept the Shofatan as a blessed, why can't we accept?
Yeah, you're asking a very good question. You're saying that if you permit me to do the nighttime Shema during this time, then clearly you view it as B'shoch B'cha. And if you view it B'shoch B'cha, then you should permit me to say Hashkivenu, right? Is what you're saying. It goes hand in hand. So the answer is, the way the commentators explain it is, because you're catching the tail end of B'shoch B'cha. You're catching the final minutes of when people are lying down. So we allow you to sneak in your B'shoch B'cha Arvit as some people are getting up, but some people are ending their lying down time. But you can't now say, Hashem, help me to lie down, because it's not the time to start going to sleep. It's still the time of sleep, the final moments of it, but it's not the time to pray to go to sleep. It's too late for that. It's almost like I have to think of a good mashal where you're not into a certain time yet, but you know what it's like you go to a restaurant, right? And you're there, like if you're already, they're not letting anyone else come sit. It's not a time to come, you can't make right? Okay, so you want to make a reservation for a restaurant, the restaurant closes at 10. And you say, okay, I want to have a reservation for 9:55. I said, what do you mean reservation for 9:55? We close at 10. He says, yeah, I know. I'm going to sneak in there. Like, no. If you're here, we let you stay here. Okay, I don't know if it's the best example.
It's like ordering breakfast after like lunchtime.
It's ordering breakfast after lunchtime.
Breakfast menu.
Okay, yeah, exactly. Which one? My example or his? My example was good, but
They'll give you something to go, but you can't.
they'll give you something to go, but you can't make it. So like, I'll let you sneak in a Shema Yisrael, but now you're gonna ask to sit down now? Oh wow, I make it even better. You saw that? Wow. You're gonna ask me to lie down in my restaurant right now? No. Take it, you can sing your Shema and get out of here. But okay, fine. Okay, that's it. I actually like it the more we go through. I like yours also because it's how you save money. You know, if you just have to get the breakfast menu, probably you're not going to save money there. You'll save money if you do a lunch menu for nighttime. That you'll save. Okay, let's keep going. There we go. Now, do you remember the character, the opinion that said that the law is like Rabbi Shimon? Can you remember his name? I still remember his name. Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi. Is Rav Acha quoting Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi? Both of you are correct. Okay, Rav Acha quoted Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi to say the law is like Rabbi Shimon. Now, watch this. Amar Rabbi Acha Rabbi Chanina. Sorry, this one. Ki ata Rav Yitzchak bar Yosef. When Rav Yitzchak came, Amar, he said, Ha de Rabbi Acha bar Rabbi Chanina. Amar Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi. When Rabbi Acha quoted Rabbi Yoshua to say, the law is like Rabbi Shimon, la beferush itmar. It wasn't stated explicitly. It's not like one day Rabbi Yoshua ben Levi was giving a shiur and he said, the law is like Rabbi Shimon bar Yochai. It wasn't a statement that he put. He didn't print this in a book and that we're quoting him as teaching a law. Ela michlala itmar. It was something that we learned from an inference of another statement. Okay, I want to zone in on this for a second because this is very common. Lav beferush itmar it wasn't stated explicitly, ela michlala itmar, but it was implied. When you say that the law is like Rabbi Shimon, he didn't say the law of this is like Rabbi Shimon. He said something else which makes it clear that that's what he holds like. Okay, so let's see what he said. What? So this is what happened is our Gemara is saying Rav Acha quoted Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi that the like is Rabbi Shimon. Rabbi Yitzchak says, time out, you got the details wrong. Rav Acha quoted Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi telling us a story. And in that story, he learned this. But that's not actually, it's not that he said it. Rav Acha told us a story. Okay, what's the story that Rav Acha told us? We're just trying to like fine-tune the exact details of what happened. There was a pair of rabbis, the ishtakur, they became drunk. Wonderful. The ishtakur behilula at the wedding, the bread Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi, at Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi's son's wedding. I'll never forget. I walked into Abraham ben Chaim's wedding, and I saw Rabbi ben Chaim there. I went to say hello to him, and right away he said, sit at table this or that. I forgot which tables he told me, but right away he said, all of the boys in the yeshiva were sitting at this table and we're sitting at that table. I'll see you at that table. I just thought it was so sweet that like I came in to sit, and he was like he's overseeing them. You're sitting at this table, you're sitting at that table. But like this is like this type of a story, right? Where you're going to the rabbi's son's wedding, and they went to the rabbi's son's, Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi's son's wedding, and there was rabbis there, and then they got drunk there. Imagine me and Rabbi Moshe got drunk at Avraham ben Chaim's wedding, okay? You get the details of the story. Atula kamed Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi. So these drunk rabbis go to the rabbi, Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi, whose son's wedding it is. Amar, so they said, what do? We were drunk, and now it's dawn. And we didn't say it because we were passed out in the courtroom. And now we woke up and we see it's past dawn. Can we do the Arvit? Kedai, he says, Kedai hu Rabbi Shimon, Lismoch alav b'shat adchak. You can rely on Rabbi Shimon ben Yochai in a time of need, which means, yeah, you could go ahead and say Arvit now, the Shema of Arvit. So it's not that Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi once wrote a law that says the law is like Rabbi Shimon. It's that there was two drunk rabbis at his son's wedding that said, can we do the Arvit Shema now? And he says, you can rely on Rabbi Shimon at the time that you need. And it was a situation where it's a time of need. Why? Because they were doing a mitzvah. We're not talking about these two rabbis went and they were I don't know what you call it, just like having fun in a bar in a club or something. They went to do the mitzvah, and as part of the mitzvah, they did this, and then they weren't able to say Shema. They sobered up around dawn. They asked the rabbi. The rabbi said, yes, you could rely on Rabbi Shimon bar Yochai. This line of Kedai hu Rabbi Shimon Nismach alav b'shat adchak is also a very famous line. Rabbi Shimon bar Yochai, like what you said, you use this time period anytime, and there's halachot that talk about using this time period. This line comes up. Kedai Rabbi Shimon bar Yochai, Kedai Rabbi Shimon Nismach alav b'shat adchak. And if you don't know this Gemara, you have no idea what this is saying, right? Like, can I say Shema during the Twilight Zone? What you'll find, commentators will write, you can rely on Rabbi Shimon on the time of need, and this is what they're referring to. This is what Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi said when people asked him this exact question. Okay, time 9:32. Okay, I wasn't drunk that night. I actually I remember the night, and like I'm saying, like he was very involved with the wedding, and this is exactly the situation. And then afterwards, they go and they ask him a halakhic question, and he says it's okay. Now I guess you could say like, you do have to ask this question of like, I'm drunk, and that now says it wasn't my fault to say that I missed Shema Yisrael. Like, isn't that a bit? Why did I get drunk to begin with? Purim.
Knowing the five voices of the.
Oh, the five kolot,
saying
right.
these things to the-
So you could say maybe like they started the drinking while it was still daytime, right? And so while it's still daytime, there are Arvit Shema, they couldn't have done it before. It didn't kick in, and you're doing this obligation that you're obligated to. Let's say Purim, for example, you start during the day, and then it comes to nighttime, and you can't say a Shema of Arvit. I remember I remember Purim, my year in yeshiva, that we were going to pray Arvit, and the rabbi wanted to see like who can say Arvit and who couldn't. Like if someone was drunk, he didn't want them to be part of the minyan. They just disturbed. So he wanted, like he said, like okay, let's move the tables. and like he would ask guys like help me out, and like he would start going like this, like one thing to see if like the person would fall down, and if the ones that would fall down, he said get out, like whatever. Like but like the people who would be able to hold on, good stuff, good memories. Okay, let's keep going. Let's keep going. Okay, so now we have to remind ourselves the story of our first Mishnah. Okay, that Mishnah, no, it didn't tell us that there was people who were drunk. Let me go back, read you this story of the first Mishnah. You guys know what I'm talking about or no? The story of our first Mishnah was as follows. So anyone who wasn't there at the beginning, let me go to 2A, straight to the top. Okay, this is the first Mishnah that we read. And we asked, what is the last time of saying Shema of nighttime? There was 3 opinions. Rabbi Eliezer Omer, until the end of the first third of the night, Rabbi Eliezer's opinion. The end time of Shema, Rabbi Eliezer says, is until the first third of the night. The rabbis say until midnight, halfway through the night. Rabban Gamliel Omer, until dawn, which we're saying it means the whole night. Either the first third of the night, first half of the night, or the whole night. Ma'aseh, this is the Gemara, we're going to expand on this part of the Mishnah now. Ma'aseh uba'u banam mi bet ha-mishteh. Once there was a story that his sons, meaning Rabban Gamliel's sons, came from a party. It doesn't say they were drunk. Just they came from a party. They were late. Amrulo, and they say to their father, Lo karinu et Shema. We didn't say the Shema. This was after midnight, but still before dawn. Amar lahem, so he says to them, Im lo ala amud ha-shachar. If it's not dawn yet, chayavim atem likrot. You need to say Shema. You need to say Shema, even though it's past midnight. The rabbi said until midnight. Even if it's past midnight, as long as it's not dawn, you need to say Shema. And this is not the only time they said until midnight. But any time that the rabbi say until midnight, the mitzvah goes until dawn. And then it gives 2 examples. The burning of the fats of the limbs of the korbanot that have to be done during the day. The mark that the rabbi says until midnight. Even though they say midnight, you have until dawn. There are certain sacrifices that need to be eaten. And the end time that we're given for eating them, the rabbi says midnight. Rabban Gamliel says, really it's until dawn. So if all of these obligations the rabbis are saying until midnight, if you really can do them until dawn, then why do they say midnight? Then why do they say midnight? To prevent people from sinning. You don't let people go up until the last mark of until the very end of the clock. You tell them up until halfway through the night. So now, let's see the story. Okay? Once the story happened that they came, we're continuing the Gemara on Daf Ter Amud Aleph. So they said, the Gemara asks, V'ad hashta lo shmiya lehu had Rabban Gamliel. Until now, did they not know the opinion of their father? Like what happened? The Chachamim say you say Shema until midnight. Rabban Gamliel says until dawn. One time they go up to a party. They come after midnight. They go to the dad. Hey dad, what's the halacha? Well, you don't know that your dad is part of this famous machlokes. It's the first page of Shas. It's the first page of the Gemara. What they didn't. Rabban Gamliel's sons didn't learn the Gemara. It's the first page of the Gemara. They don't know what he holds. No, so the Gemara says they knew that he argued. This was the question to their father. Rabbanan pligi elavach. We know that the rabbis argue with you, and they say until midnight, and you say until dawn. V'yachid v'rabim, and if it's one person against the majority opinion, halachat karabim, then the law goes by the majority opinion. So is this a situation where you and the rabbis are arguing, and therefore we have to follow the rabbis? So since we missed midnight, it's over. There's no point of saying Shema now. Or Dilma, or maybe Rabbanan kivatach svilahu. The Rabbanan, the rabbis, they agree with you that the end time is dawn. But when they say until midnight, they're just trying to prevent us. They're building in a buffer so that we don't sin. And so if that's the case, that they're just building in a buffer, when you missed it, you should still do your Arvit Shema, because they agree with you that you have until the whole night. Right? You get it? Is it that the rabbis fundamentally hold midnight, and past midnight there's no purpose of saying your nighttime Shema? Or do they fundamentally agree with you, but they just want to put in a guardrail and they just want to make it a little bit earlier? In which case, if I missed it, missed midnight, I should still say Shema. So Amar lahu, that's when he responded, Rabbanan kevat titzri lahu. The rabbis agree with me that the end time of the Shema of Arvit time is done. And you have to say Shema. If it's 4 a.m., you still need to say Shema. And when they said until midnight, it was your second option. They were just preventing people from sin. In a situation where you missed it, you still are required to say Shema like me. So it's not like they say, hey, Dad, what's the law? And then he says, yeah, until dawn. Like, you know that's his opinion. Yeah, we know that's opinion. What they were asking is, if the rabbis disagree with you, we don't hold like you, because they're the majority opinion. But if they fundamentally agree with you, they're just building in a buffer, and when you miss that buffer, you should still say Shema, and that's what Rav Gamliel says. They hold like me. It's just that they had built in that buffer. Yes.
So it sounds like in the Mishnah, it says the two statements together, that not only can you say Shema after midnight, but that it's also like Gezerah of the
Correct.
So he says them together as one statement, but it sounds like here it's saying that he used to just say, yeah, you can say Shema after midnight, but he never used to say that the rabbis also hold like me. They just put this in place.
Very good, very good, very good. Okay, and Andrew's great question, Andrew. Andrew's saying, the Gemara says they asked their dad, and he said, yes, you have to read. And this is what the rabbis do all the time. So it's like the Gemara says, okay, no, hold on. There is a dialogue here. They asked, do the rabbis agree with you? But they just built in a guardrail, and therefore I would have to read. Or do the rabbis disagree with you, in which case I don't have to? And then the response is, no, the rabbis do agree with me. So there was a whole dialogue. So the Mishnah doesn't record it as a dialogue. Is that your question?
Yeah, it sounds like when he would record, when he would give his halacha, that he could say it until dawn, he said this all together.
Correct.
So one whole statement.
Correct. That's exactly what the question of the Gemara is. The Gemara says you say it all as one statement. The Gemara is saying no. There was a dialogue going on here. When it was recorded in the Mishnah, it was recorded as just a simple question and answer, but there was actually more details there. There was a dialogue, and now you're learning is the Mishnah was written in shorthand. The Mishnah was recorded, finalized in shorthand. And this is something we've spoken about when we spoke about Mishnayot. Mishnayot are not going to have all of the details, but the Mishnayot are, like the example I'd like to give, index cards. Bullet point index cards. So as you're going through the bullet point index cards, the Gemara says, time out. This point of this index card where it sounds like he just said it, did it just happen like that? It says, no, there was a dialogue. They explained, they knew what his opinion was. It's not that they were asking, what's your opinion? They knew what his opinion was. They knew what the rabbi's opinion is. They just didn't know if there was a fundamental disagreement or if it was just how the rabbis built in a buffer. And then Rabban Gamliel's response is, they just built in a buffer. But you're required to say Shema. Okay? Next time, we're going to speak about the next line of other things that have to go until midnight. Can anyone think of anything that your requirement ends at midnight? Any year, any mitzvah, anything all year round. Can you think of anything that midnight is the cutoff?
Matzah.
Whoa.
What did you say? Oh, Mr. Daniel Koren. Is that who said something?
I said matzah.
Matzah. Wow, 3 of you. We had Ronnie, Mr. Daniel Koren, Bli Neder, and we have Josh. All 3 of you said Afikoman. You guys got it right. What is it? Yeah, I heard. Yeah, what did you say? They get a prize. You guys can eat matzah. I don't have any matzah, but yeah, no, you're all asking. You're all saying something very, very, very good point.
That's it? Rabbi, only
So our Mishnah tells us burning of the fats and eating certain korbanot, but the one that we have in our practical day-to-day lives is eating the matzah, the afikoman. And so the Gemara is not going to speak about that, but it's going to be speaking about eating the korban pesach, because the korban pesach had a cutoff of eating until midnight, so it's related. And the Gemara is going to say that wasn't in our Mishnah. The examples given in the Mishnah did not include pesach, did not include the eating the korban pesach until midnight, and we're going to delve into it. So for next week's class, we're going to get into some of the details of the korban pesach, not as practical, other than how you apply some of the laws to eating matzah on Pesach. So there is that connection. B'ezrat Hashem, we'll do that next week. Okay? Yes. Question. Sorry. Oh yeah. I am not here next week. Baruch Hashem. I will not be here, but B'ezrat Hashem, we'll have class in 2 weeks from now. Okay? Yeah. Zach Baruch. Have a great week, everyone.
Thank you. Have a good night.